Let's talk about deportations. Specifically, I want to talk about the deportation of Rasha Alaway, a Brown University physician who recently went to Lebanon to visit family, we're told, comes back to the United States, is denied entry, and then is sent back to Lebanon. There's a huge outcry. How can this be happening? This is an abuse of her rights. However, it turns out, why did she go to Lebanon? She went to visit her family, yes, but also she went there for the funeral of one of the world's, if not the greatest terrorist in the world, Hassan Nasrallah. Maybe Nasrallah is not the biggest terrorist in the world, but he is definitely the largest narcotics trafficker in the world. Yes, for those who didn't know, Hezbollah are the biggest traffickers of narcotics to South America. They export Captagon to South America, to the entire Middle East. Essentially, it's a terrorist organization that funds itself by being a drug cartel, leading to thousands and thousands of deaths. And now my question is, will Brown University's medical center speak out against, never mind the anti-Semitism component, will they speak out against the fact that one of their physicians went to the funeral of the greatest narcotics exporter in the world? Will they throw their honor in the basket, or will they say, look, there are sometimes people who are deported and there's a good reason for them being deported? Same is true for Mahmoud Khalil. Remember all the people who are like, oh, if they can do this to him, they can do it to anyone. No, if you are propagating terrorist organizations materials, if you're sending out terrorist organizations materials, this is not about free speech. This is about people who are a danger to society, which have not been held accountable. Same thing in Yale University. There was a student expelled, disowned, God knows what she was, from Yale University. Turns out she has lots and lots and lots of strings that tie her to the regime in Tehran, to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard regime. There are ties that connect her to Samidun, a designated terrorism network. And so the question is, when will Yale University, Brown University, Columbia University call out the inhumanity, the cruelty, and the danger to society coming from people who are oppressors? They come to the United States, they speak in a language of anti-colonialism, of against the occupation. However, they are part of regimes and organizations that are the biggest terrorizers, the biggest colonizers, the biggest occupiers, and the biggest abusers of human rights on planet Earth. If a doctor at Brown University goes all the way to Lebanon for the funeral of Hassan Nasrallah, Brown University needs to make it clear that if something like that happens again, the other person will also be expelled. Not by Homeland Security, but by Brown University. If Yale University sees one of its students now with so many connections to the regime in Iran, with so many connections to Samidun, then they need to say, we will not let this happen again. If Columbia University say, look, it turns out this guy that was leading the encampment was actually very, very connected to Hamas, then they should say, we will not accept such a thing in the future. And unless they do that, we can't really accept their outrage when they say, oh, this is about free speech. Finally, to all the people out there saying, oh, if they can do this to Mahmoud, they can do this to anyone. No, Mahmoud is not a citizen of the United States of America. And you know what? If something would have been done, something like that would have been done to the Westboro Baptist Church, if something like that would be done to the Ku Klux Klan, so many of you would be speaking out and saying, good, it's good that such hateful bigots have no place in our society. And yet, when it comes to people like Mahmoud Khalil, we are not hearing condemnations. In fact, we're seeing too many people standing by his side. So let's speak out against hate. Let's speak out against those who join networks of hate. And let's make sure that Ivy League institutions and any institution that harbor terrorism sympathizers, like we saw in Brown University, like we saw at Yale University, like we saw in Columbia University, it's time for those institutions to self-police, to hold their own students accountable, and not for them to wait for the federal government to get involved.